Hello and welcome to Kingston Now. This week we'll meet the owners of Cafe East, a new restaurant opening in Uptown. We'll talk to writer Martha Frankel about the Woodstock Writers Festival, and we'll start with Lydia Reidy, the Executive Director of Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County, who are celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. Hi, Lydia.
Hi.
Now, is Cornell Cooperative Extension, the whole organization began 100 years ago up near Cornell University, right? Mm-hmm. Is the organization celebrating its 100th anniversary, or is it Ulster County's version?
The organization actually celebrated its 100th anniversary in 2012, and the start of Cornell Cooperative Extension in New York State was actually in Broome County in Binghamton, which is commemorated by a large rock and a plaque. And so there were quite a few celebrations that went on around that. And then shortly after, in 2012, Ulster County determined that they were in great need of the services and education that could be provided by cooperative extension. So in 2013, the Chamber of Commerce and some local farmers groups got together, and that was the beginning of Cornell Cooperative Extension in Ulster County.
Oh, you mean 1913?
I'm sorry, 1913.
Right, here we are in 2013, 100 years later. So for people who don't know what Cornell Cooperative Extension is, maybe you can explain a little bit.
Cornell Cooperative Extension is a statewide organization. It's actually part of a national organization, the Cooperative Extension Service. It is under the umbrella of the United States Department of Agriculture on the federal level, and Cornell University and the state of New York on the state level. It was started to make sure that the research that was being done at universities, public universities in the country, would be made available to people who could use that to benefit other residents. Farmers, homemakers, etc. Always has had an agricultural bent because this country had determined very early on that a inexpensive, safe food supply was incredibly important to the well-being of the United States of America.
It still is.
And still is. And so one of the ways that they determined that this was going to work and benefit, again, tax-paying residents, was each state was given a land grant. Actually given some land, mostly in the central part of the country, that they could use to either build on or sell, and use the proceeds to put together an organization from each land grant university that would translate the research being done, especially in agricultural fields and whatever, to the general population. So that's how it started. President Lincoln signed the Morrill Act in 1862, and then in 1915 the Smith-Lever Act was passed by Congress, and that formally started the Cooperative Extension Service. But New York, being an innovative state, got started a tad earlier. We were first located in 1913 at 74 John Street in the Pearson House, which is still standing. I used to take great pride in the fact that we were in one of the oldest buildings in the United States for our Cornell Cooperative Extension work. And we remained there until 1999, when it was deemed that the building was unsafe and needed some significant work done. We moved from there to Uptown Kingston, and from there to our current location, which is 232 Plaza Road in the Kingston Plaza.
So what are some of the programs that Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County does these days?
So these days, cooperative extension still very much leads with agriculture, and it is a very important industry in Ulster County and in the Hudson Valley region. We grow significant amounts of fresh fruit, apples of course being our top crop, and then we go to vegetables. We do livestock. We pretty much can grow just about anything in Ulster County. We were known as a dairy county up until the mid-70s when they had the dairy buyout, and a lot of that land that the dairies were on are now currently being used for livestock or pasture or whatever. So about 10% of the land here in Ulster County, and this is a pretty significantly large county, is in commercial agriculture, which are growing mostly fresh commodity. We don't do a whole lot of growing of commodities for canning and those kinds of things. We've seen a big resurgence in wine, grapes, and grains as well. Hops, things that can support beer making, as well as hard liquors as well that are made from some of our local products, apples, cherries, those kinds of things. So again, we spend a significant amount of our time working in the agricultural field. The other areas that we spend some considerable time in are in the areas of nutrition. We do quite a bit of work with low-income nutrition education, as well as we have 2 or 3 grants that we're working with that are looking at obesity and diabetes issues. Again, very much related to food and exercise and what we do and how we access the bounty of foods that are around us to make sure that we're eating the right kinds of things that are going to nurture our bodies and give us lots of extra energy to get outside and move, as opposed to sitting just at our computers or watching television and doing those kinds of things.
So what are you going to do to celebrate your 100th anniversary? I think you have an event planned, right, for June 1st?
June 1st, we are having, we've kind of just generically named it the Party in the Parking Lot, because where we're located now is, again, in the Kingston Plaza. We're kind of directly across from Herzog's. And so what we've determined is that since cooperative extension is funded by, well, we're funded in many ways, but significantly we're funded by residents contributing towards our programming and the applied research that needs to be done in the areas of agriculture and nutrition, environment, and youth development, that we would like to put a party together that's going to say thank you to those folks. So on June 1st, we're inviting everyone to come on down to our location, and we will be celebrating with live music. We're just going to have a whole wonderful things. Lots of children's activities. We're probably going to do a 100-yard dash. We're looking for 100 hula hoopers to participate in a hula hoop exercise program. We're going to have lots of really good food. Again, lots of activities for children and families. That really is what cooperative extension is all about, in nurturing strong families and building on the wonderful bounty of agricultural produce and products that we have. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun, and we'll be putting together more and more opportunities for folks to participate in as we go along.
It sounds terrific. Thanks for coming by today.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
This is Kingston Now. Next up, it's writer Martha Frankel to tell us about the upcoming Woodstock Writers Festival. Welcome back to Kingston Now. Martha Frankel is a writer who has contributed book reviews, celebrity profiles, and essays to The New Yorker, Details, Cosmo, and others. And she's also published a memoir called Hats and Eyeglasses. She joins us now to tell us about the Woodstock Writers Festival. Hi, Martha.
Hey, Jim.
Before we get to the Woodstock Writers Festival, you've had a pretty extraordinary career as a writer. How did that come about?
You know, like most great things, I got lucky. And I met a woman in Puerto Rico. We became friends, Annie Flanders, and she was starting this magazine called Details, and I loved it. It was about the downtown art and fashion scene, something I know nothing about, and I would look forward to it every month. And after a couple of years, we were walking on the beach one day, and she said, "You want to write for us? You're very funny. You'd be a good writer." And I said, "Oh, I always thought I was a writer." And she said, "Really? Because you have to write to be a writer." The best advice I ever got. And I started writing for her. I did book reviews. I did a column about plastic surgery called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. The original Details was an incredible lab for people who were passionate about something. I was very, very lucky to be there.
And you ended up doing some celebrity profiles too, right?
Yeah, I did. My first celebrity profile was with Aidan Quinn, It was just like the greatest thing. I did it up on Route 28 at an old place called Judy's Kitchen.
Yeah, because he's got a place locally, right?
And we became very good friends, and I've just been incredibly lucky.
Tell me about some memorable moments from some of those celebrity profiles.
I outran the paparazzi with Sean Penn.
So they were chasing Sean Penn, and
yes,
you were...
my car was right there, and he said, "Let's go." And I was like running down the street thinking, I could have just gotten in my car. I could have been fine. But I went CD shopping with Jeff Bridges. I danced with Chris Walken. I've had a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So how does a girl from the Bronx end up in the Catskill Mountains?
I don't know. I came up here one weekend, went back home, and felt the siren calling me. And even though I'm a beach person, I lived in Miami then, I was so happy, I loved the warmth, I knew I had to come back here. So I did.
Your memoir is Hats and Eyeglasses. Tell me about that.
Hats and eyeglasses is an old gambling term. It means when the ship has gone down and all that floats are hats and eyeglasses. And my family gambled a lot. My uncles gambled on everything. My mother and her girlfriends gambled on who would lose the most weight of Weight Watchers and who could hold their breath the longest. And I was from that family, and I thought the gene had escaped me until I learned how to play poker in the early 90s, mid-90s. And I got hooked, and I was doing really well. I'm a good poker player, but then I found online poker, and it was not good.
It's like crack for poker players, right?
It is like crack for poker players.
So what was it like sitting down and writing a memoir about it?
It was good.
Yeah?
It was good. Yeah, I mean, it was very painful. I sold it before I had told anyone about my addiction, and I mean anyone, including my husband. So it was crazy.
There are some incredible writers in the area, and you've got the Woodstock Writers Festival coming to Woodstock April 18th through the 21st. Yeah. It's the 4th year?
It is.
Tell me about it this year.
Oh my God, it's wild. The things are so organic in this. I'm friends with Philippe Petit, the high wire artist. He has a new book out about knots. I don't know how to tie my shoes. I thought it'd be a funny thing to get him. And he said, he'd love to come if I interviewed him. And I said, no, I'm the wrong person. Like, I'll get you somebody good. And he said, I'll come if you do it. So I'm doing that. One night, Jane Smiley, the Pulitzer Prize winner, was at my house, and everybody had gone to bed, and we were on Twitter. I was showing her about Twitter, and I saw Cheryl Strayed, who wrote a book that I love called Wild. And I said, oh, Cheryl? She said, yeah. I said, I'm going to say hello for you. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I said hello, and back and forth. And I said, you want to come to the Woodstock Writers Festival next April? This was, I think, in September. She said, okay. So she's coming. We put my friend Abby Aronson, who's the publicity director for the festival, put a call into J.R. Havlin, who's the head writer at Jon Stewart, and said, would you guys be interested in doing a panel? So he's bringing the writers from Letterman, Fallon, Colbert. They're going to do something. Who knows what they're going to do? We have story slams, we have poetry, spirituality, fiction. It's really exciting, and a mix of locals and not so locals.
And where does it all take place?
It takes place in the center of Woodstock, mostly at the Kleiner James Art Center, but a couple of things at Photo Sensualis, Oriole 9. But our website, Ken Schneidman designs our website and does all the graphics. They're gorgeous, and so we just changed the website today. And so it's really easy to navigate. We're going to be streaming it, which is a big deal for us, first time ever.
So how many events will take place over the course of the weekend?
11.
11 events. And open to the public?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you're a reader, and here's Cheryl Strayed. She wrote a book about walking from LA to Oregon. It's still a bestseller. Krista Paravani, who has a bestseller with the memoir Her. Come and meet the people whose work you love. Woodstock's a small town. There's no hiding. You will meet them. You'll get to talk to them.
And what's extraordinary, too, about writers' festivals is that they'll read from their works.
Yeah.
And you get to hear the voice, the actual voice, as it was coming out onto the paper. Which is just a great experience.
So it's, a week away. So excited. Can't wait.
It's going to be a great event, and we're looking forward to it. Thanks for coming, Martha.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
This is Kingston Now. Next up, we're going to head out to Fair Street in Uptown Kingston to meet the people behind Cafe East, a new restaurant.
So what do you think of your pad thai?
It's delicious.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm almost always disappointed in pad thai.
Really?
Yeah.
But you weren't with this one?
I wasn't. Well, I trusted you because I know you're a good cook.
Oh, you're so sweet.
But what I love, it's got just the right amount of heat.
Yeah.
You know, it's hot, but it doesn't overpower anything.
Not too spicy?
And it's obviously good ingredients.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's fabulous. So
Oh good. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
I'll be back.
Oh good. That's what I love hearing. I'm Deena Rae Turner, and this is Cafe East. I call it Cafe East because I had a food cart all summer in Woodstock that was called simply East, which was a play on the diner signs that say eat or eat here. And so it was a logical extension of East when I had a full restaurant that was going to be like a French cafe to call it Cafe East. So I could keep the name going. And everything is influenced by Asian cooking, but it's based in French cooking. We like to say Asian flavors, French finish. It is my first restaurant if you don't count the food cart, which I kind of do count it. My breakfast menu is sort of like what you would see in a European cafe in the United States. So if you're in a French cafe, you wouldn't see many breakfast foods, but if you're in a French cafe in the United States, you see omelets, you see really good quality bacon. I have a steak and egg, but it's marinated Asian style. My bacon is nitrate free, and we slice it here. It's slab bacon. And the lunch menu is a full line of banh mi sandwiches, some of which I created myself. I have what I call an Amsterdam banh mi, which is made out of from the Gulf Coast of Maine, tinned herring and tinned sardines. Everything has my pickled, all the banh mi's and the fusion tacos have my pickled carrot and daikon. And some things carry my pickled cabbage. I have a kimchi omelet, which is a Korean kimchi that I make myself. That's stuffed with kimchi and omelet. And then I've always loved a Philly cheesesteak, but I never allow myself to eat them for 20 years. So I created a blue cheesesteak. So it's organic meat, marinated Asian style, with a really high quality blue cheese on a great baguette with organic onion. You know that I chose Kingston. I chose uptown Kingston. I looked around a lot. I looked around in Saugerties because I live outside Saugerties near Palinville. I looked around a lot in Saugerties, and it just didn't feel like it was the right place to open a restaurant. So I started looking around in Red Hook, and I had the same feeling. And then my husband said, well, why not uptown Kingston? That seems to be kind of happening. And as soon as I started looking here, I could tell that this was the place. People were helpful, the buildings were beautiful. It seemed like there was an upstart of people who were doing something creative, and I really, really like the diversity of this neighborhood. And then when I found this place, I had to really look beneath the surface to see that I could make it something that was just right for Cafe East. I mean, you know, just to make a short story long, I chose Uptown Kingston because it was an intuition, and it's come true. For instance, my neighbors at the florist have completely embraced me. We love each other. A person who's renting a new store that I met at the Chamber of Commerce has become like my patron saint. This neighborhood is amazingly happening. It just feels good. And the people that I serve, you know, I have lawyers, I have people with disabilities, I have doctors, I have therapists, I have young people, I have people in their 80s, I have a music conservatory upstairs. Those teachers come down. I have a yoga studio upstairs. I mean, this neighborhood is amazing, just amazingly diverse. It's not all one thing. I would say that my signature dish is probably the pad thai, because I didn't just accept pad thai as this is what pad thai is like. I decided that my pad thai was going to be sort of all things to all people. You know, I was going to try. Like, I studied pad thai, and it seemed like some people put this thing in it, some people put that thing in it, some people put that thing in it, and most people just chucked a lot of peanuts on top to give it flavor. So what I decided is my beginning of my pad thai, the saute for the pad thai, was going to have all the flavor in it. The first thing going in the pan was going to have all the flavor. And then I developed a sauce that also was informed by a lot of different versions. Everything seemed a little bit too bland to me. So I worked really hard on the cooking sauce. It's called the cooking sauce, but you make it from scratch. So I would say that's my signature dish. And when you walk in, it's not the pad thai that you'll get everywhere else. It's really, really different, you know. So I'd say that. And then the next one would probably be the Amsterdam banh mi. just because you can't get that anywhere but here. We also have a dessert menu, and my husband and co-owner Daniel Gilhuly is going to tell you about that, because he's the dessert chef.
Okay. The dessert menu is basically my favorite desserts. A few things I've been working on for quite a while. There's a lemon walnut torte, which is gluten-free, and a chocolate pie. We have cookies and another, a specialty of the day.
And then we also have a saffron rice pudding that will knock your socks off, that I make. Because I don't do crust, but I can do rice. Hi, I'm Deena Rae Turner, and this is Cafe East. We're open from 8 to 3, Monday through Friday. And when the farm market starts in May, we'll be open 9 to 4 on Saturday as well. And we're a full-service cafe with French influence and Asian flavors in almost everything on the menu. And everything is made fresh, and all the meats are antibiotic-free, the eggs are free-range, the coffee's organic, the milk's organic. So, welcome to Cafe East. Stop by.
That's it for this week's show. Thanks to Lydia Reidy of Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County. For more information about their 100th anniversary events, go to cceulster.org. Thanks to Martha Frankel. For more information about the Woodstock Writers Festival, go to woodstockwritersfestival.com. And thanks to Deena Rae Turner, Cafe East is located at 263 Fair Street and can be found on Facebook. Remember, all of our shows are now archived on our YouTube channel, and you can find that link on our Facebook page. For Kingston Now, I'm Jimmy Buff. I'll see you next time.